Hi, teachers. I'm Walter from EOT in Brazil. This is my peer, Tom Hardy. Oops, Bruno Albuquerque.
Hi, everyone.
I was going to make that joke. Well, today we're here yet again to talk about our Delta diaries, right? The things we studied for Delta. And let me ask you a question. How good are you at, how can I put this? Evaluating tasks that you have in your books, because this task is related to that, right? So we're going to take a look at task 3 of Delta Module 1, Paper 1. I want to remind you one more time, Bruno and myself, we are not Delta tutors. This is not a prep course. This is just an overview of the test. All right? I'll see you in a second. Roda a vinheta.
All right, so we're back, and today, as Walter was saying, we're going to look at task 3, paper 1 from Delta Module 1, the exam. This is a very interesting task. It's a task in which we're given we're given an activity, we're given a task from a course book or a worksheet, and what we have to do is analyze the task given and think about what kind of language, what sub-skills, what strategies students will need to complete the task. So let's look at this one. Walter, where did you get this example from?
I made it.
Oh, wow. Not only a Delta student, but also a Delta task writer. That's great.
I mean, I looked at a bunch of mocks. So the rubrics are always very similar. Things that, as you look at the task, and here's the thing, if you never took a prep course for the test, and I've met a person who took the Delta without a prep course, and this person just didn't know what to make of the tasks, right? Because they don't like, what am I supposed to do here? Because the rubrics are maybe not as clear as you would imagine. The first thing that I think we should consider here is this.
Yeah.
The level. So level must be considered. This is a bit too thick. Remember the level. You have to keep that in mind, right? And then you have the task. This is the task. In groups, discuss plans you have for your life after you graduate from high school. So is it a written task, a writing task, or a speaking task? Obviously, it is a speaking task, and students will have to talk. Then you have this. In order to complete this activity successfully, learners at this level would need to use the following key language features. And I'm giving you only one, this one. Use of be going to talk about future plans. For example, I'm going to move to São Paulo because I have family there. Okay, then you have an example. So what we have to do is you look at this task, considering this level, and then you have to identify 3 further key language features, right? You need 3 of them, and you need to provide one example. And when we say example, for example, we talked about be going to. It could not be just I'm going to. You need a full example, like an entire sentence, even if it's vocabulary, right? Well, so I think that the first thing, Bruno, we talked about the level, right? You must consider the level. What other things do you think needs to be considered?
The nature of the task, as you mentioned, this is a speaking task, right? So it's key. It's obvious again, but it's something to keep in mind.
So if you're talking about speaking, you would probably think of spoken discourse. Do you remember some things, some characteristics of spoken discourse? I can say one that comes to mind right now. Back channel. But remember that there are so many, right? But this is an example.
Yeah, turn taking as well.
Turn taking.
Probably false starts.
Oh, false starts. That's good. Okay. Any other thing that we must consider?
I would say linguistic aspects. So grammar and vocabulary that is necessary. I think this is probably the go-to.
And now I think I think we have everything we need. You need to consider the grammar that might be involved, or lexis. Right? And when I mean lexis, remember we're talking about vocabulary, right? Anyway, and then you have to write the ones you can think of related to that task. Remember, discuss, which means is speaking, your life plans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we pause for a second? Can you
Absolutely.
scroll up again till we can see the task there? So I would like to ask you, if you're watching this video, to pause the video right now and try to write down at least 2 or 3 features of language, key language features that learners at this level would need to use. So remember, there is an example here, the one in bold, right? So use of be going to talk about future plans, for example, and then as Walter was saying, a complete sentence that students would produce that you can show that, look, this is important. They need this piece of language, right? So pause the video right now, take your time. I think you should take around probably 8 minutes here to get 2 or 3.
We didn't mention the scoring of this task. I'm not sure. I think it's 12 marks. 12 marks.
Yeah. So you get 4 marks for each one. Yeah.
Yes.
And as you can see, you get double the marks from task 1 that you just have to supply 1 word for the definition, right? So task 1 is a warm-up.
Yeah. Well, shall we begin?
I think so.
Yep. Okay. I don't know which one you're thinking of, but what do you want to start with? Grammar, lexis? You want to go?
Can you go
spoken?
back to the task so that I can?
Sure.
Okay. Plans you have for your life after you graduate from high school. So we already have the future there. What do you have in mind, Walter?
Well, I think there are other elements of futurity that might be a part of this. So we could consider things like I'm planning on, I am due to.
Okay. I'm due to seems too certain.
Yeah, too certain.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe I might.
I'm okay. So we could start with hedging.
Modals. Yes.
We could start with hedging then. Hedging.
I wouldn't say it's hedging, because what we're saying here is modals for future possibility, right?
We could go with modality. to express
Future possibility. Yeah.
future possibilities.
Yeah. And then, for
And then
example, I might get a part-time job.
Okay, or you can actually write something longer if you prefer, but okay, I might have to get a job, for example.
Okay.
Or I might, which one you said again?
I might get a part-time job.
Every time I have to write something in here and you have to look at my handwriting, I apologize. So it is a given. I am sorry. All right. It's not beautiful, but I hope you can understand that. Okay. I'm going to change the color so that it is clear between one and the other. For number 2, even though I think one example is good enough, right, Bruno? So we keep the video shorter and we do give them, the audience, an idea, an overview of the task, unless you want to do one more.
I think we should do one more.
Okay.
What about Lexis, for example? Can we go back to the task so that we can?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, this is what I did when I was taking the test. I would always go back to the task and think and imagine students in class doing this, right? So one of the ways you can think about it is, well, obviously, what kind of language do they need to do this? Or you can, and this is very practical and it used to work for me, is imagine this is the last activity of a lesson. What did you teach in this class?
Yes, and then it's probably gonna be something useful for this, because the language that you thought, okay, this is gonna work. If you think, okay, this was the final task or the real life task of a lesson, what kind of language do you think was taught in that lesson? Just like Bruno mentioned it. Yeah, that is a good way to approach it. And when you look at that, what things come to mind? I would have a hard time thinking of vocabulary because of the level. If you think about verbs, for example, move, live, they're very simplistic for the level because it's a B2 level lesson, right? But unless you're talking about modal verbs, multi-word verbs.
Yeah, Lexis here is a bit tricky.
Lexis here is a bit tricky. I would probably go with something like modal verbs, like with get, for example. Then you could have lexicals there. What about spoken discourse? Turn taking would be a good one here.
It would, because you're talking about discuss, right?
Because it's a discussion, right? So let's go.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
Third taking
strategies
to help learners engage in the conversation or keep the conversation going, something like that. And then e.g. Which one do you think?
There are some.
Really?
We can go. Well, I will. Well, or I think or Brazilian students would just raise their voice,
Yeah.
right, to get the turn. And then I don't know if that would be possible to put in parentheses, like raise your tone of voice a bit, and then, well, I think I'll move away. Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Oh, well, I think I'll move away.
Or you
Oh,
see that
where would you
and
go?
then
And then,
really, where would you go? Yes, then you do have some maybe adjacency pairs.
For example.
For example, but for B2, it's always a hard one for higher levels. But it's like, no, it wouldn't work because adjacency pairs means that it's the kind of language that it requires the person to respond using like those made up prompts, like "How are you?" I'm good. I'm good, and you, right? Those are adjacency pairs. But no, maybe it wouldn't.
I thought of Alexis one. Because the task is what you will do when you finish high school, right? So these learners are teenagers; they're not
Yes,
adults, right?
probably.
Most likely. So we can have Lexis to talk about activities after high school. For example, go backpacking, take a sabbatical year, get a part-time job. What else? We actually need only one example, but
Lexus related to common
post high school activities, and then go to college, right?
People do after college.
No, after high school.
People do after. Oh yes, after college. No, after high school.
Yeah.
After.
And then just so we don't use the part-time job again, I'll go backpacking in Europe. Yeah, common activities for very rich folk. I didn't go backpacking anywhere. I went backpacking in Taguatinga when I graduated.
For me, not even that, dude. And you would probably highlight the word that is related to this Lexus in here. You would highlight it, right? You would like highlight backpacking in the sentence. I think this looks pretty good. I think this looks pretty good. Any other thing you think? You can only do 3. Don't write more than the number they ask you for. They ask you for 6, it's 6. Don't write 7. It's gonna take up too much of your time during the task, and you were gonna need it. Believe me. Yes. But yeah, like I think that you have to remember that. Well, for example, you could think of something like tag questions. Okay, you could use tag questions here, but would it be something primary, extremely necessary for them to complete the task?
No.
Maybe it isn't. So I would say that in all likelihood, this is very applicable. I think this is like probably number 1, and this is absolutely applicable. I might change this if I had time. I don't like number 2 very much. No. But still, I think it works.
I think it works.
But again, we are not Delta tutors, so I'm not 100% sure in there. One more thing, Bruno. Let me just stop sharing. Tell me, how would you rank this? Do you think this is on the easy side or the most difficult side of the test?
I think this is tricky because usually the examples that they give kind of spoil the answers you think of, right? So they always write the most obvious ones. So talk about future plans. You can bet a leg and an arm that going to be there, right? So they kind of spoiled the fun right at the beginning.
I'm gonna give you something on personal experience. I think that in my test, the day I took it, there are 3 tasks that I'm sure I did well. It's 4. I know 2 that I know I absolutely didn't. First task 2 of paper 1, I didn't even answer that because I didn't have time. And task 1 in paper 2, I did not do well in that, I'm sure. But I think task 5 was okay. Task 2 in paper 2, which is very difficult, it was good. I'm sure that one was good. The next one that we're going to talk about is the one that I'm like the most sure about. I'm very certain it was okay, especially because it's something that I really like doing. And I think this one was good too. Maybe I was lucky, it wasn't a very difficult one, but yeah. And in all the mocks that I took, and that my tutor graded for me, he marked for me, this one was the one of those that I was doing okay, that I remember. Okay, that do you remember your prep courses when you were doing it? Was this one that you were doing like quite
it was
well?
all right. It was all right because I usually got 2 very quickly. Like, okay, there's this, and there's that. And then the third one was always a challenge. Like, what else? Because we often go for grammar and lexis. I often go for grammar and lexis. So grammar, pa, lexis, pa, good. What now? Right? And then the third one used to be a bit tricky. But before we go, so we can leave a challenge to people.
I was just gonna answer one more thing. I think that if you have a writing task, it might actually be easier, and it's very common. It's always speaking and writing, and because if it's writing, you can think of clogs. Clogs is that thing: content, lexis, organization, style. So it just gets easier. You do. Today you have a pop quiz.
Yeah, it's not actually a pop quiz, but not for you because our time is it's a bit short. But I would like to leave this on the screen for people who are planning on taking the Delta. This is from the Delta Handbook for tutors and teachers. So you can see task 1, 2, and 3 here. Maybe I'll zoom in just a bit more so that you can see it very clearly in the video.
You put that on the board, and my mind is automatically answering task 1.
Yeah,
I am already
task 1 is a lot of fun
because it's fun. Oh, come on, we're geeky. We're geeks, but come on, it's just look at that. Look at letter E, task 1.
Letter E, a consonant sound in which the air flow is initially stopped, but it's the affricate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very useful knowledge, as you can see.
Right. So initially stopped. Yeah, there you go. Go.
So folks, if you would like to try this out, pause the video, write your answers, and if you write them in the comment, we're going to give you our comment on your comment so that you can get some sort of feedback. But again, we're students, not tutors, but well, sharing is caring, right?
Oh, by the way, this one is the one you got on the Cambridge website, right?
Yes. Yeah, you can download this on the
can download website. That. You can download it there. Can you stop sharing for a minute? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So first thing, you can download those. There are, I think, 2 sample tasks there, and you have the answer key. So you can do the task, and then you can check with the answers that they provide. All right, Bruno, I think we have a wrap for this one, for this this task. I really like this one. I really like the way we did this one. This was fun. I like the task as well. But when we are gonna get to some tasks that are kind of a nightmare. But anyway, it's been fun. Well, please do leave us a like. If I would really love if you could, leave us a comment. We can interact, we can talk to you. Maybe there are things that ideas that you had. I'm gonna go back to that task for a second. And would you please comment down below what other elements of language, I mean lexis and grammar or spoken discourse, considering the level of the students, do you think we could use? Any idea that comes to mind, leave us in the comments and we're gonna interact. We're gonna answer that to you. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it's time. Come on. Right down
probably.
below here. All right. Thank you very much.
See
We'll
you,
see you
everybody.
in the
Bye-bye.
next video for task 4.
See you.
Bye.